I appreciate that.
Yeah.
A couple of more questions on a similar line.
Sure.
So the document references, using UV stabilizers, higher grade resins to protect against as much as possible against, microplastic contamination. Does that protect against contamination from weathering and from like physical wear of like, people just playing on the field, both in equal measure? I want to get a sense of, to what extent does it cover both of those, one of those?
So it's obviously a delicate balance. You want to have something that is a durable product because as it breaks down, then you get into a different factor everyone's concerned about, the microplastics, right? The microplastics, as Josh's environmental, slide had talked about, if as fibers break down and you're kind of exhibiting it out on the football field now, those little fibers, you want to capture those. And so a stronger fiber, which generally means if you use a stronger, more durable polyurethane resin or polyethylene resin, those fibers are going to hold up longer. And that's kind of that next generation turf where instead of 8-year warranties, you're getting 10 and 12-year warranties because the fibers are stronger. So they don't break down as much. And that's critical when you're dealing with, not adversely impacting the environment with, fiber breakdown, degradation. And that's where we try to use certain qualifications in specifications for high quality products that are going to obviously perform well, that the student athletes can enjoy, but we want to make sure instead of replacing this in 11 years, we're replacing this in 16 years so we don't have this conversation again, as enjoyable as it is. So, we want to make sure these are very environmentally safe products as much as we can do within, economic reason and with the limited testing we have.
Gotcha. And okay, I think this is my last question. This is probably more for Joshua or Joel. Under the page titled Environmental Mitigation Actions, am I correct in understanding that that's in response to a couple of things that were requested during the study session where we said, well, if we're going to go with turf, we want to mitigate the environmental impacts of this. So can you come to us with some actions that the district can take to mitigate, the emissions that come from the manufacturing and transport process of the turf, the installation? Is that in response to that, or is that a separate thing?
Well, I tried to address the things that are primarily, associated directly with the turf itself. The transportation and manufacturing is kind of beyond our control. So like I said, I addressed it in greater depth in the research document. There are a number of studies cited there, including those from the National Library of Medicine, which is one of the National Institutes of Health. And that kind of explains the research behind it. Like I said, some of that stuff is beyond our control, but
I get that. No, so I think there's maybe a miscommunication. I think my recollection, my colleagues can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, is that during the study session, there was an ask of, we know that there are environmental impacts from turf. And, to your point, yeah, we can't control the transportation, the manufacturing, but we know that there's environmental impacts from those. And that by paying into the turf industry, we are, in some sense, paying into those impacts as well. So my recollection is one question was, well, if we're going to do that, are there separate actions we can take to make our campuses more sustainable, to mitigate in some sense our climate impact from paying into the turf industry? So I just want to make sure I'm correct in understanding that that page was not in direct response to that, and it sounds like it was not.
It was not, no.
Okay.